morning, everyone. We are currently in the Holyoke Public Schools Media Center, and we have a small group of students that want to discuss some positive news about COVID-19 handling at Holyoke High School North. So I am Patrick Sweeney. I am currently a junior at Holyoke High School, and we thank you again for joining us.
Hi everyone, my name is Talishka Morales and I'm a junior here at Holyoke High School.
Hi, I'm Alina Fairley and I'm a sophomore at Holyoke High School.
So we have a list of different questions that we're going to be kind of discussing related to the COVID pandemic. So we want to start off by kind of talking about how did you first hear about COVID-19 and when, and just tell us some thoughts about that.
It was kind of like word getting around at first. I didn't really hear it directly and I didn't believe it at first. Like it was kind of like a surprise to me. It wasn't a thing, so I didn't believe it until like it actually like started spreading and like word started getting out, started getting on the news, like there were more cases, like people started dying, and that's when I realized like, okay, this is serious.
I heard about it, I think, Christmas of 2019, Christmas Day, and I didn't really think anything of it because it was just, I feel like you hear kind of crazy stories all the time about new viruses, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I didn't hear anything about it for like maybe 2 months, and I remember being in school like what happened to it, like is it just over? And everyone was like, you're so stupid, it's a pandemic, like it's gonna come back. And then a week later, I think we really started hearing about it more and more, and teachers started making us sanitize, but I still really was in denial about it, and then it kind of fell apart from there.
Yeah, and I remember like right before like we were gonna close down schools, like they were saying it's gonna be like what, a week or two, and they were passing out like packets, and then like I remember like I was happy that we were gonna close down school because it's like yay, like a mini vacation, and then it just got longer and longer and longer, and it ended up being a whole shutdown, and we didn't start school till this year.
Right?
So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I actually heard about it through my parents with the newspaper. My parents got the Republican, and they were talking about it, and they didn't really think it was a huge deal like everyone else because we didn't have a lot of information on it. And then I knew something was up because I came into school that Thursday, March 12th, 2020, the day before we shut down, and a lot of administrators were around, and they looked kind of like nervous about everything, and they actually said, thanks for coming to school this morning, which kind of seemed concerning to me because I was like, you go from not hearing anything about it to kind of hearing a little bit about it, and now it looks like we're going to have a major problem. So that really kind of escalated from there. So, do you want to add any other feelings about that question?
I think we're good.
Okay, so next one is, how did the pandemic make you feel, and now that we're more into it, how does it make you feel now?
So in the beginning, like I said, I didn't really know anything about it, so it wasn't making me as nervous. But when we shut down and we weren't in school for a while, and we like masks were mandated, everything was closed down. That's when I started getting more nervous and more scared because for my safety, my parents' safety, and like my dad, he was a janitor, so he went to school went to work like every day, like even when it was shut down. So that made me nervous, and he has asthma, so it's like people like that who made me nervous about like whether they were gonna die or not and like stuff like that. So it just made me very nervous and scared. And like now, even though it's more calmed down, you still have to be very cautious with your surroundings, especially now that everybody's back in school and stuff. And now that they made masks mandated again, it's like it's kind of going a step back then a step forward. So it's kind of like I'm in between of nervous but also feeling a little hopeful that we're gonna get better.
I think like from the beginning I was kind of dreading it because I do kind of enjoy going to school. I always have, and relying on interaction I think more than I thought I did. So I was really, really sad about even having 2 weeks off of school. So I did not do well during online school, like at all. I mean, academically I was fine, but I was just waiting and waiting and waiting to come back. And now I'm definitely less nervous about it. I think at the beginning of the year, I was like, we might shut down kind of soon, but I feel a little bit more hopeful about that not happening now. Because, I don't know, I haven't heard too much news about anything. So, yeah, I'm feeling better, I think.
Yeah, I felt really nervous about it in the beginning as well. Like I said, we didn't have as much information, but once we started hearing about more people contracting it, being in the hospital and dying, unfortunately that was a major problem for my family and I because my dad and I both were working and doing school from home, so that's like, if it has to come to that, it's really bad. And Now I still feel really nervous about it because now that we're back in school, even though the numbers are down, it's still kind of scary to be in an environment where it could be spread. So that's where like the mask thing comes in and how that really helps a lot. So I feel like that's gone a long way to kind of calm the nerves of people in the school who have been worried about not taking precautions. So I think that helped a lot. So our next question here is, what measures has HPS and Holyoke High School made that makes you feel safe and protected to come back into school?
Yeah. Well, first I want to start off by saying like the what are they called?
The
Purifiers.
filters.
The
Yep.
filters, like those really help, and like keeping the windows open, just making sure we get that air, like getting the, just
Mhm.
so it won't spread as much, and then having the mask at all times, and like teachers in the hallway reminding students, make sure you have your mask over your nose, and like having that reminder really helps.
I mean, I think there's only so much that we can do, and I think that we are kind of trying our best. Something that I do, I think every Wednesday, is I get COVID tested. I'm pretty sure it's like anonymous, so they just put all of the tests, and they kind of, I don't know, get the results of how many people have COVID or not. So that, I think, is a great thing, and more students should sign up for that. And yeah, the air purifiers, and teachers are definitely, most teachers are enforcing masks.
Mm-hmm.
That I've noticed that, like, consistently pull your mask up, which is great because some students just like don't listen, which is very annoying. But most of the staff is definitely trying their best.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're doing a good job too, leaving those windows open. They're really noticing that the district wants them to do A, B, and C, and they do A, B, and C on a regular basis. So I think they're really making sure they follow step by step everything that they're required to do. And also on the mask note, I noticed yesterday my dad had told me that they're going to be enforcing the mask mandate up until January. So I feel like that's going to go a long way into maybe keeping us in school and also just making sure that we don't have a lot of that spread if they decide to keep us in school for all this time. So I think that's been really important as well. That's good. That can lead into our next question, which is, as an HPS student, we want to have us tell you more about the changes you've experienced. Could be remote learning, saying did you like it, or did you miss going to actual school in person, or something about mask wearing or testing, something along those lines.
Yeah. I remember always telling myself, like, it would be nice to just be at home in your bed, like, doing school and stuff, and now that it actually happened, it was just so hard, like, even, like, going into breakout rooms in silence, and, like, not being able to email your teachers, or having internet problems, and it was just very, very hard, and it took time to get used to, and even, like, in the middle of the year, even in the end of the year, it didn't feel normal at all. And now coming back to school, although it doesn't feel fully normal, it's nice to see faces again. And like, even now, like, teachers are still enforcing different things that we did when we were in school, like the Spirit Fridays. And I know that they're enforcing Pep Rally now, and things like that just help us know that they're trying to enforce, trying to make us feel normal, try to bring some positivity, and I think that really helps.
Yeah, remote learning for me was definitely a negative experience. I think academically I was able to kind of pull it together towards the end, and I did go back to school at the end of the year, and it was really weird. But I was just, the whole time, I wanted to go back to school so badly. It was very depressing, honestly. And I mean, I've heard some students talk about how much, like, you enjoyed it.
I did.
Yeah,
Yes, I loved
very
it.
positive. A lot of people, I think, enjoyed it. It didn't work for me. So I'm very happy to be back here. I don't really mind the masks, honestly. Like, it hasn't been a big deal for me at all. I can breathe fine, I think. I don't know why it's such a big deal for some people. But if we have to wear these, it's totally fine. If it means we can all be back here.
Yeah, I agree about the mask thing. I mean, it's not that difficult, and if it keeps people safe, then that's really the way to go. And also, yes, I did love remote learning because of the ability. I had to be home with my parents. I mentioned before that my dad got sent home the same month I did, just a week later, and he's actually still at home for working from home. He works in Connecticut, so we didn't have that quality time together before the pandemic because he would go to work and I'd go to school, and then we'd come home and rush around and do like homework and stuff. But during remote learning, I was able to like sit at my table, and he was able to be in his little office, and my mom would like bake us something fun during the day, or she'd be able to talk to us and walk by, and she could hear some of the classes that I was on. So it was really important for my family and I to be able to have that time together. But I can totally understand other people had like technological issues, or they weren't able to connect with teachers. So it's really a different experience for everyone.
Yeah. I think it's great that some people, I think it really brought some families together. Like personally, I was alone all day because my parents still had to go to work, and I have a brother, but he's in school too. So we were very alone. But I know a lot of people, like it really brought a lot of families together. I think, not trying to make it into a positive thing what's happened, but something good that came out of it is I think
Yeah.
a lot of families feel probably more connected.
It really depends on the situation
Yeah.
you have. So our next question is, for posterity, when people look back into this time period, share with them how it is to be a teenager or student in a period of time with so much change and uncertainty going on.
It's definitely hard and confusing considering that there's so many different rumors and like, you know, just different people have different perspectives on it. Like Alina said, like some people like don't take it seriously and don't use the mask, while there's others who do take it seriously, do use their mask and are worried, you know. And it's hard and it's difficult, and it takes time to get used to. And even now, it's not fully normal, but now I'm used to the mask. You know, I'm used to coming to school, seeing the teachers, making sure I put hand sanitizer on, making sure I wipe the desk, making sure, you know, we're all safe, making sure I'm 3 feet apart within other students, and at least I have my teachers there to remind every student, especially those who don't want to, you know, who don't want to make sure they have their mask up, want to make sure that they're 3 feet apart, or, you know, not taking the COVID cases seriously. It has impacted me a lot because, like, before I did cheerleading, so, like, being able to do those sports and being able to, like, go out and just not wear the mask, not having to worry about, oh, I forgot my mask, or, like, being able to go to the mall and go into stores without saying, okay, let me make sure I put hand sanitizer on. Let me make sure I'm not touching everything, you know? And just those little things I didn't have to worry about before. Or even, like, going out with my friends and making sure that they're not sick, or, like, they weren't around people who had COVID. Just, I didn't have to worry about any of those things, so that really impacted me a lot, as, like, now I have to be cautious for, like, every single little thing. So that was a big difference.
I think it's like incredibly frustrating, just the whole situation, because mostly, obviously more last year, I just wanted to go back to school so badly, and I danced like 5 days a week, and I went from 5 days a week to literally nothing, and I get to do it again now, and I've missed it so much. But yeah, I missed hanging out with people, I missed everything, and so much changed from, like, I remember when we were doing online school, they would tell us like every 3 months, you're going to go back to school, and then we would all get excited, and then it just you wouldn't hear anything about it ever again. And I wish that they maybe wouldn't do that, because I think that it really got a lot of people's hopes up for absolutely no reason. I was like, why are you telling me this? Literally every 3 months. So that was frustrating. It was just a complete, like, life change. I was such a busy person, and I, like, really struggled with trying to make myself busy all day. Even I would go to when we got out of school at like 12:50, I would have the whole day to do nothing, and I didn't like that at all, because what am I supposed to do for the next like 12 hours? So that was, yeah, just very frustrating, I think. I don't think that I realized how important it was, because I considered myself a very independent person, and I still do. And I was always like, I can spend like the whole week by myself and I'd be fine, and then I did it and it was not fine. I don't know what it is. I think coming back to school, talking to so many people, I really enjoy it, and I think I'm more social. I don't know why. I think it's just like a human thing. You want to talk to people, and you want to connect with people, and you want to like laugh and have fun and have meaningful conversations. And that was something that I think everyone was missing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us didn't notice how much we really had so much interaction with people, like, as before. Like, before you didn't realize how much speaking to a person meant to you, or even hugging a person in the hallways, or, like, seeing them, like, when COVID started, like, you were like, oh, wait, like, let me not hug them. Like, it was more like an elbow touch, and it just felt really weird. And those small connections, you didn't realize how important they are until now, until you couldn't do them anymore.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think it's very confusing and like scary in this whole time, because we get a lot of like different types of information from different sources, whether it's the school or whether it's like the news sources or just things going on in general. You're not really sure what's going to happen next, and a lot of other people aren't sure what's going to happen next. And normally in this type of situation, you turn to like higher up officials or government leaders or things like that, and they're not even sure what's going on, and they're not sure how things like vaccines are going to affect people in years, and if we're going to need boosters and things like that. So I feel like it's pretty tough if they are still in a tough situation with us. So we're kind of all like in the same boat. So there's no one really that has more knowledge about the situation than we do, because we all got thrown into it at the exact same time. So it's definitely very uncertain.
Yeah, I think one of like the scarier things has been seeing like the government leaders just have absolutely no idea what's going on. Like it was kind of like unsettling to like turn on the news and just see like how just no one has any idea of what to do or any idea of when things are going to get better, and then they say it's going to get better and then it doesn't. So that was probably one of, I think, the harder things. It's just the news and like the media in general. I think social media has like kind of maybe negatively impacted all of our lives since the pandemic, just from like extreme use of it. So that was another change, I think. I don't kind of a negative thing, I guess.
hmm Yep, yep. So our next thing can be a personal positive experience or an anecdote or a story that you want to share, whether it can be like in school or something that happened during this time that can be applicable to the conversation.
Well, I could definitely add on how like we're enforcing sports now, because like before, like it was hard for many students because sports was kind of like their motivation to keep going. I've seen a lot of stories on social media where it's like they didn't have their sport because sports usually have like a certain deadline that you have to have. So like you had to have this certain amount of grades, this certain amount of attendance, and they didn't have that to push them. That was kind of like their motivation. So like I know that a lot of students didn't have those sports anymore. So they were really like, it really impacted them, and it changed them. I know for me personally, I didn't do cheerleading anymore, so I felt very like unhealthy, very like wasn't moving as much. I just stood in my house in one spot in a computer all day. But now that I have the sports, I'm able to move around, interact with more people, meet more people, and I feel like that was definitely like a huge impact, which is, it just brought more positivity into my life now that we have the sports, and like being able to go to football games and like seeing all these wins that we're getting, and like it just brings us all as a community and as a school together, and I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't have like a specific story, but I just think that like the reintroduction of sports or any extracurricular into all of our lives has been very beneficial and just such like a positive thing. All of the football games, I haven't gotten to go to any, but they look like a lot of fun. All of the sports games, they look like a lot of fun, and I'm glad that so many people are going and just being together again. Or if you don't do school sports, like I returned to dance, which was just so important to me, and it's very just such a positive thing. So I'm feeling like a lot happier now.
I feel like on a school note, as a whole, everyone's really come together as one during this time, whether it be the teachers or all of the students. There's been a lot of things that have been going on throughout the year, so I just feel like everyone comes together. The teachers know that people might be struggling with different things in their lives, and they are definitely affected by what's going on by the pandemic, and even in school in general. So I feel like the teachers have done a great job, and administrators as well, of being sure that they consider the emotional well-being of all the students, and just making sure they like check in, or they just promote a positive classroom experience. So that's been really, really nice to see.
Yeah, like I know I'm in student government, and I know we're really pushing to bring positivity. Like we're really pushing to bring student activities and try to like uplift one another, because that's what we all need right now, is a little uplifting and positivity.
Yeah, I think like being back in school now, you have a lot more support from like guidance counselors or therapists or anything like that we like really did not have last year when we probably most needed it. So I think that as well has probably been super helpful, like having an adult or another person to talk to like all of the time. I think we're pretty good about that here.
Yeah. I think we can wrap up just with one last quick question about anything that any of you would like to suggest people continue to do or start to do during this time.
I think definitely continue to use your mask for the correct way. Keeping it up over your nose, and make sure you sanitize your hands, and just stay 3 feet apart if you can, 6 feet apart, and just stay positive. I think positivity is one of the number one things, because if you're just thinking that and negativity and bringing out negativity, we're just going to receive negativity. So staying positive and just continue to stay safe.
Yeah, wear your mask. Wear your mask. It's not that hard. Wear your mask. Get vaccinated if you can. Please get vaccinated. If you're eligible, think about getting a booster shot, or what booster shot would be best for you. I know they say you can like mix and match them now, kind of. I don't think we can get them. I think it's for 18 plus. But if you're 18 plus, try to get a booster shot, or even your first. I think really prioritize people who haven't got vaccinated yet. Like, don't get too caught up in the now there's booster shots. Like, still worry about the people who are not vaccinated at all, and wear your mask again.
Yeah, I definitely think continuing to wear that mask, and like Alina said, to get vaccinated if you can, because I know people would say, oh, you know, we have a right not to get vaccinated and things like that, but now, as things are starting to open up again, it's really coming down to your safety of yourself and others. So I think doing that will really benefit you. It'll prevent you from getting seriously sick, and it'll prevent your community from doing so. So definitely staying masked up as long as possible, especially during the winter, since the flu season's coming and they're not sure what's going to happen with that. And definitely get vaccinated.